If you are not yet where you want to be, first congratulate yourself for the improvements made so far and decide to keep on going. Don't worry, don't get nervous, don't get anxious or any kind of other activational state because you are not yet on your finish line. I hope that by now you have learned that these are the biggest enemies of good night's sleep. And then the third point is get proactive. Try and figure out what is happening. And in this, let me provide you with some good starting points in the next lessons. So let's dive in. The first option is to investigate the most straightforward path. It often happens that you have improved some topics, but these only caused more problems to surface. This is a very common occurrence in psychology. It's like when you're fixing a minor thing or a minor problem at home or at work, only to discover that in the background there is a huge problem that needs to be addressed. This is a part of personal growth and is completely normal. What you do is that you repeat the process of finding where you have a problem and potentially even drilling down to see what could be causing it. Is it environmental behavior or is it something in you? So meaning a physical, mental, or emotional cause. And then you think about what can you do about it. You stay actionable. Can you move it? Can you fix it? Can you hide it? Can you replace it? Or can you remove it? In time or in space? Is it a physical thing or only a perception of it? Could it be more than one thing? List all of them and make an action plan to address them in your notebook and action planner. Be practical, make an experiment where you do things differently and observe how this impacts your sleep results. If you're unsure what to do about a specific area, and go ahead and return to that area in the sleep coach course and go through it again. You can speed up this process by checking the chapter summary section and your notes. Try this approach first before proceeding to the next viable option, which is presented in the next lesson. If you have exhausted the previous option or it does not sit with you, consider if there is a problem in the implementation of the methods. Check the part summaries and materials you received with this course and go through them. Can you improve the methods you are doing? Because you see, it's not about understanding the concepts, but about their integration into your daily approach, behavior, and environment, and then staying consistent with them. So, and then the final question is, are you making any personalizations of the methods? Could these personalizations or alterations influence the efficacy of the presented methods? What can you do about this? Think about it. Could you try sticking to what is presented in this course as it is and try it out? See if this improves your results? Write your findings and potentially also action points for yourself and then test them out. The next option is to locate the origin of the sleep problems. Think back chronologically and geographically. Where did the problem first start? Is the problem still present, either physically or materially? And is it still blocking your sleep? Or is it its perception, meaning the memory of it still there? And lastly, are its ramifications, meaning the perception of its consequences at fault and still present? Pause the recording and think about this a bit before proceeding. If you have made any discoveries, make sure to think also about what will you do about this. Set up an action plan. Without it, remember, nothing can change. If you need more time, pause the recording and then continue. The next possible venue, if you cannot remember when the sleep problem started, is to go as far back in time as possible, that you remember the times when you could sleep without the problems that you have right now. And think about what was different back then compared to today. Could you implement those practices back into your life? Separately consider bed, bedroom, and evening routines. So treat each one of these areas separately. How was your life or the perception of it, different in terms of environment, behavior, and all three levels of personal health, meaning physically, mentally, and emotionally. What component do you think could be responsible for impaired sleep today? Think about all these options before investigating the next possible cause of you not reaching your goals with this course, which will be presented in the next lesson. The next possibility is to verify and change your so-called sweet spot of improvements. By now, you're well aware that this course is quite intense and provides a lot of possible improvements and methods to test and implement. Depending on various factors, you decided on what to change, how many improvements to bring into your life, how drastic they were, and how to time them. When you did this, you may have accidentally gone with either too little or too many things at the same time. If sustainable personal growth and improvement is defined by gradual yet consistent steps that last, you may have, without knowing, found yourself on one extreme. This is very common and happens to us all in pretty much every area of life. On one side, you could have gone too lightly, and the difference is too small to notice. On the other hand, you may have decided to do almost everything in a very short period. In the first case, you are sad, frustrated, anxious, and perhaps even angry because of lack of results. In the second case, you are most likely activated because of the sheer number of new things happening to you, and as a consequence, you are more stressed, perhaps even overwhelmed, yet the results are not visible since you are trying to change too much at the same time. And again, these states not only do not help, but hinder sleep. Since this is a very subjective matter or topic, I cannot provide a general recommendation on the number and intensity of changes you should or actually could do at the same time. It depends from person to person. What I can do, I can only recommend that you try to find a personal sweet spot and experiment and test a little to try to finding it out. The next option is to conduct an experiment. Don't worry, no one will get harmed in the process. I imagine you have tried a few recommendations from the long list that I have provided. I also suspect that you prioritized or started with the approaches that you personally prefer, that sit well with you, either emotionally or because they're simple, quick, easier, or for whatever other reason. Nothing is wrong with that. Yet, if the methods you've implemented on that basis are not sufficient, perhaps it is time that you step a bit out of your comfort zone, wouldn't you say? So, which methods have you not yet tried? Most likely, there was a reason why you haven't yet tried them. So this time, you have to overcome that one or several obstacles. Could you find a way to test them for a few nights and observe what happens? Think about from this viewpoint and try to test new ways of how to improve specific areas and as a consequence improve your sleep. The last possible reason could just be the fact that you need to give it more time and keep refining it further. Making lifestyle and psychological changes takes time, and only after you've made the changes you can gradually see noticeable outcomes. There can be quite a delay in between. A good analogy would be observe an old locomotive starting off. First, you need a lot of turns and effort, and the train barely moves. But slowly and surely, after consistent turns, the train starts to move faster and faster and faster. And this effort pays off because later on, the train remains in motion with much less invested effort. The participants of the Sleep Coach course notice tangible improvements in approximately 4 weeks, but this can vary greatly. There are a lot of factors in play. If you had insomnia for many years, there are most likely several layers of problems that need fixing. None of the techniques and approaches in this course is a guaranteed magical pill or golden bullet to solve all your problems in a flash by itself. Measure consistency, correct habits, and gradual improvement that you can sustain on a long term. Do not be discouraged if in your expectations the results should have already been seen by now. Life's too unpredictable and there are too many influencing factors, as I've said before. There will be ups and downs, and that is normal. So remember the minimum 5-day rule of the observational period and keep improving. Keep testing, improving, introducing new methods, see what works, and ditch the rest. If, however, you have been trying for weeks and did everything that I recommended, and yet either you do not seem to get any results, or you've made some progress but cannot get to the level of results you want, then contact me for a one-on-one session and we'll review your case together and find a way to solve